Hello, yes, we are back once again as you're dancing to the intro. We are back here once again for the next episode of A Conversation with Kely. Guys, I will be honest, we have a lot of podcasts to do, so you're probably going to see a lot of us today. You're going to be really sick of our voices. I'm going to be drinking lots and lots of fluids, so I just
falls onto my laptop. I have my bay water, and I also have two tumblers.
You sure you got it? You're not going to drop it again? You sure you got that?
But yeah, I have 2 tumblers of regular water, and I have the flavored one. So yeah.
Well, that was great. No, what I was going to say is I have lots and lots of fluids that I'm consuming, so I don't sound all hoarse by the end of this because we have a lot of podcasts to do. And this is one of the ones we will be doing. Before we do get into that, I am here, my lovely beautiful co-host, Dally. How are you doing today besides dropping that?
I'm doing well. I mean, my day's been pretty chill so far. I just been talking to people for the org I'm in. It's the Facebook org. I made merge and the jury phase, so excited about that.
Yes.
And obviously just doing these. I'm excited to do these podcasts, and I might go for a walk at some point. We'll see. But yeah, other than that, just pretty much just chilling today, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, my day's been pretty chill too. I wrote my very long and my very short review of Doom Part 2. It's totally not like 7 paragraphs or anything. I totally didn't just write one of the longest reviews I have in a very long time. But if you guys want to check that out, it is over at Letterboxd. But we're not here to talk about Doom Part 2, although I would love to talk about Doom Part 2. We're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about this week's episode of The Traitors US. Guys, we're nearing the end. We only have a couple episodes left of the show. I believe there's only 2 weeks left, I'm pretty sure. I think it's this week, and then next week is the finale. So, we're really getting down to it.
Also, something funny. I'm wearing on Wednesdays, we wear pink shirt on Tuesday.
Who got you that shirt?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, you weren't supposed to tell them. That was part of the joke. But anyway.
I know.
Anyway, like I said, we are here, of course, to talk about the Traitors, episode 9. And Allie, what did you think of this episode overall?
Oh, this episode was definitely one of the best for sure of the season. Because it's definitely one that I gave an A+ to. And oh my god, it was so good. And ooh, hello, Mike motherfucking Jones.
Oh my god, yes.
We love
seeing that king in here. Love seeing him.
Yes. But yeah, I'm very excited to talk about this episode because so much went down. And spoilers, it ends on a cliffhanger, but this was actually a really spicy, intense one. So I mean, I like that. And
yeah, I think if there was an episode to end on a cliffhanger, this was definitely the right one. So it's yes, coast to coast timeless Mike motherfucking Jones. There we go. We got to get it right. Your name keeps evolving. I feel like we've gone from Mike motherfucking Jones to timeless Mike motherfucking Jones, and now it's coast to coast timeless Mike motherfucking Jones. So I'm here for it. I love it. I honestly I love it. I love it. But what I also love is this episode of the Traitors. Yeah, honestly, this was another really fantastic episode. I mean, things just continue to build. The intensity is just at an all-time high. Very exciting roundtable, really exciting, very exciting challenge as well. This was just, again, I've said every week, they're pulling out all the stops. They're just continuing to build on what's worked, and they haven't lost the momentum. Yes, we had that one episode that didn't have the roundtable, but I don't think the momentum has gone at all. I saw people compare that to Big Brother 25, but the difference is Big Brother 25, they completely lost the momentum. They have not lost it.
This season, I think this season has been the gift that keeps on giving. I think every episode has been strong. There's only been one that I didn't dislike it, but obviously only one episode was not as good, but it was still good overall. It was just not as good as some of the others. But this season has been super strong, and I've just really enjoyed it. And I don't think I mean, from what I've seen, I don't think anybody is really checked out of it.
No, not at all. I think everyone's still.
Also, hey Janelle, we miss you.
Hi, Janelle. Some people are a little too into it, if you want my honest opinion. We'll get to that. Peter, especially. But yeah, we're going to go ahead.
Oh, also, speaking of Peter, he was just on Morgan Wallet's podcast, Your Internet Best Friend. So,
oh, wow.
Obviously, so watch that. Queen, love her.
Yes, speaking of podcasts, before we do get into the episode, this reunion is going to be so spicy. Like, we've seen some crazy shit come out the past couple days where, like, there's, like, a ton of people having beef with each other. Parvati saying that Tamra's getting her 15 minutes of fame. Tamra calling Parvati irrelevant. Like, this is going to be such a good reunion, and I cannot wait to see how it goes.
I know, it seems like it seems like the majority of them don't like each other, besides like the gamers like each other, and like
they're gonna be coming at each other's throats, and I'm very excited to see it.
I cannot
but anyway,
wait. This is probably gonna be one of the best like TV reunions.
Oh, for sure. So we're gonna go ahead and just, especially because like it's literally happening in a week and all this drama's going on. So we're just gonna get into this episode. So of course we left off on a cliffhanger last week with the ultimatum, and in my opinion, I don't think they needed to leave it on a cliffhanger because it was super obvious what was gonna happen. We see after waiting in the dungeon, Phaedra walks over to Kate, removes her cloak. Kate is very impressed by how sly she was and how just under the radar she was able to be. Phaedra then explains that she either needs to join her as a traitor or she will be forced to murder her. She thinks that she's smart, clever, and would make a crazy cool killer with her. And Kate obviously says yes. I mean, what else is she going to say at this point? Obviously, she's going to agree to it. That's why, for me, I don't think this should have been a cliffhanger. I think they honestly could have just ended it on this scene.
I think the only reason they made it a cliffhanger is just because of how like intense that was with the dungeon. They probably just wanted to keep it, like, leave us in suspense.
I mean, yeah, but I just feel like if you were going to do that, like, add a little, like, make it a little less obvious where it's like she's not going to want to die. Obviously, she's going to take it. So Phaedra then tells her to join her because they have to murder someone. I mean,
if she said no, she'd be like, yeah, I'm Peter. I'm a faithful to the end.
No, she dies is what happens.
Like, she's like, I cannot be a traitor because I am too faithful.
I mean, no, that's not what happens, though, because she dies. So it's not like Peter.
I know.
Although it would have been funny if she did choose Peter here, because I think Peter probably would have just chosen to die. So
that would have been so funny.
So Phaedra then tells her to join her because they have to murder someone. And like I said, this is where I think the episode should have ended. Like right at this scene, I think would have been the perfect point because I was not under the impression that they were murdering somebody. I thought that it was just going to be Kate chooses and then we just go to breakfast. Like I thought that's what was going to happen. But no, they actually do get to murder someone here. So Kate says she isn't
I will say most of this is like
just them roasting everybody.
Yeah, literally, it's just like a roasting session, which I'm here for.
Oh, it was great. And like, I don't think she could have chosen a better person than Kate because like the two of them are already just so incredibly like outspoken and like blunt. And the two of them together, it's like literally gold. Like it's so good. Kate says she isn't really giving her a choice, but she does love a dramatic cloak and a VIP club and knowing secrets, so she's a traitor now, which might be fun. The only thing that's surprising her is that Phaedra is the only traitor left, so she's kind of disappointed. She was hoping that there'd be more traitors out there, but now it's literally just the two of them. So they both go over to the turret where Kate asks Phaedra some questions about the traitors, and she's shocked to find out that Parvati was the one recruited. I guess they thought that it was Parvati and Dan from the start, and then Phaedra was recruited. And she talks about how it was just her and Dan. Phaedra says it was like eating dry Melba toast with no butter or jam. And she asks Kate what their strategy is going to be going forward. Kate is surprised to see she doesn't have a plan since she got here. She's been in Trader for a while now. And yeah, we talked about this, that Phaedra really needed to like take charge here and really needed to like make it clear. And she's still not doing that. She's still wanting Kate to make all the decisions. And
I love Phaedra so much, but she really is like too passive. Like she needs to like take control more.
Yeah, because again, like I said this last week, like, yes, Shereé was as well, but to a point. There was certainly, I think we can both agree, there was a point in the show where Shereé was no longer passive, where Shereé was taking out the people that benefited her and nobody else. And Phaedra just hasn't, besides Tamra, hasn't really been doing that. Phaedra's been mostly just letting the other traders take charge, and I do think it's probably the weakest point of her game. I think she just needed a little bit more agency. Like, yes, her being passive has worked for her, but I just wanted to see her like kind of just take charge a bit more here, especially having Kate, who hasn't been a trader, having her take the reins now. I don't think that was the move. But Kate talks about how Kevin is pretty annoying sometimes. Phaedra thinks that he could have a little suspicious with how he called her out about the eye twitching and also voted for her. Kate says she wants
everyone, like, Kevin's just constantly like pissing everyone off.
I mean, yeah, because he's an idiot, so it makes sense. But Kate says she wants to murder him just for that. She agrees, but thinks he's a follower of a dictator, which is Peter. Kate feels that Peter puts the dick in dictator. I mean, yeah, she's not wrong. He's kind of he's kind of an asshole. But with all the bullshit he pulled tonight, Phaedra agrees, says it was so crazy. Kate says he thought he was so clever, and Phaedra says that they need to get rid of him. That they have to get rid of him, but they need to make sure they don't miss so it's not another Bergie. She thinks that Peter, and this was the one part I thought Phaedra did really well. Like, she says, like, we have to make sure who we get doesn't have a shield. We need to make sure it sticks, because this is the thing that they did wrong last time. So this is the thing I think she actually did do really well here. So Kate then asks about Trishelle, and I was like, oh God, please don't go for Trishelle here. She literally has the shield. Let's not do this again. She says that she was made a real fool tonight at the round table, but still has her bullet points. Phaedra thinks she should throw her notebook away with all her funny-looking hats, and Kate feels that she will have a real vendetta and wants to prove her point, so it's either Trishelle or Kevin. Phaedra feels that the turret suits Kate and is glad she feels comfortable in her surroundings. Kate talks about how this is her first murder. She just became a traitor like 5 minutes ago, but she thinks that she'll be good at this and will burn this castle to the ground. So yeah, Kate is fully prepared. But like I said, I was just really hoping it wasn't going to be Trishelle at this point, because I really wanted this murder to actually be a murder and not be blocked. So... all right. So with that said, like I said, I think this was very exciting to watch. Also, I mean, Phaedra and Kate just work so well together. Like, this was such a great choice for Phaedra. Kate bounces off of her so well. I don't think she really could have picked a better choice here. The jury's still out on how well Kate's going to do as a traitor on her own. By the looks of this episode, not great. I will say, I don't think Kate's doing a great job as being a traitor, but it's late enough in the game to where it might not matter, so we'll see. Regardless, Allie, let's talk about breakfast.
All right, so the first to arrive are Kate and Sandra.
Yes.
Kate says she's just woken up as a traitor and is not prepared for this. She's not a good liar and feels the only way she will get through this is to stick to her truth, and that she is a faithful, and Peter is a traitor to the faithful since he lied.
This is why I was most excited to see Kate as a traitor, because I just felt like she was going to do really bad with the lying, and we can already see that, like, that's an issue for her.
Oh, yeah. She talks to Sandra about it, and Sandra says it's weird that they caught a traitor, but no one was happy and celebrating like when they caught Dan. And here's Peter cutting deals with people that are traitors. And Kate mentions what he said to her in the kitchen last night about knowing Parvati was a traitor, and she doesn't love that. The next to arrive is CT, and they bring up to him how Peter is a liar, and he says that Kate correctly called him out on it, and that his credibility has gone out the window after defending Parvati.
Yeah, so CT is like firmly against Peter at this point. And I will say, if you wanted to make a case in this episode for why CT wins this game, I feel like this is the episode you do that with, because this whole episode, he was just giving me that vibe of like CT's winning.
Oh, yeah. It's like CT and Sandra are like for sure locks for the end.
Yeah, but it's all about like who, you know, which faithfuls are winning. And I do think a faithful is winning this game. And I think regardless, I think CT's absolutely one of them.
I can see that. Yeah. But I mean, Sandra's also had such a good like game as well, too.
Oh, yeah. Her reads were horrendous in this episode, but yes.
I know. Oh, yeah. It was funny. CT says Peter is rubbing him the wrong way. He doesn't listen to anybody else. He isn't consistent, always hiding in the dark, smoke and mirrors. The politics and booby traps, and it's one thing to think like a traitor, but it's another thing to play like one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's sort of the real issue here. It's not so much that he is a traitor, it's that he's very much playing like one.
Also, I'm sorry, Janae, I hope you're okay.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Aw. The next to arrive to breakfast is Peter, who says he wasn't expecting to be here, and it's great to see them. Right after him, MJ joins. Peter says this game is getting to him. He is shocked to still be alive, but he's very grateful to be here, and he's just hoping his alliance walks through the doors.
Yeah, and Kate's gonna be upset that they didn't murder MJ, because yeah.
I know. There's a moment where MJ notices Kate is acting a bit amiss, and that the light in her face is not actually there.
I was so worried for Kate at this point. I was like, oh god, is she literally gonna like be like out the door immediately? Like, this is so bad.
It was so bad. Like, MJ was a pretty crucial part of this episode.
Oh, very much, very much. Like, don't underestimate her.
Oh yeah, like she wasn't really a good player in like past rounds, but like this,
she's definitely stepped it up.
This episode, yeah, she's great. Kate is not happy MJ has called her out and says she's tired and to just give her a coffee and get off her back. She's freaking out and needs to get her shit together. And she says this is why she doesn't smoke marijuana, because she gets paranoid and she thinks everything she says is wrong and is hoping she says pass the eggs like a faithful and eating salmon correctly. Oh, she's so funny.
Just gold. Absolute gold.
So good. Kate and Phaedra are like reality TV gold.
Oh, yeah.
The next to arrive to breakfast is Shereé, who says she is very happy to make it this far, but knows it's getting down to the wire and there is work to do. And then the next to arrive is Phaedra and John, meaning it's down to Trishelle and Kevin. Peter asks Phaedra if she's good, and she says yes. And says they need to not fight today, and they hug it out. For now.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, you know that these two, it's not gonna last.
Not at all. Phaedra says yesterday was a lot, but she's glad she has Kate on board. But she's an asset, so she can trust her.
For now, she has her on board. Again, people are already sussing out Kate, so who knows?
I know. Oh my god, right? Peter says to Phaedra they will work together now and asks who she thinks, and she says she doesn't know, and CT asks how he's feeling about it being between Kevin and Trishelle, and Peter says they keep taking the crew down.
Yeah, and Peter, again, just plays this round horribly, like does nothing to really help himself here, makes himself look so incredibly suspicious, like not a great episode for Peter at all.
Game-wise, he's been bad since he decided to be lame.
Yeah, I think the second he the second that he refused to be recruited, he just completely lost like all sight of the game, and he just continues to deteriorate.
Peter says he knows.
That's why I'm pretty sure Peter's the one going. Like, I'm pretty sure it's him. I don't think it's gonna be Phaedra, but we'll see.
I mean, we'll see, because like, I mean, I don't know. Like, MJ is very unexpected. She's like, yes, she's working with Phaedra, but she also votes different. She can vote either way, because she could have been like convinced that she is a traitor. Who knows?
I don't know. This episode just gives me the vibes of like, this is his swan song.
Yeah, unless they just did that because Phaedra leaves. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. But Peter says he knows Trishelle has a shield, but is just hoping Trishelle and Kevin walk in and they successfully avoid any murders to his crew.
Yep.
John feels if there is a murder, it'll be Kevin, but they're not sure why.
This is a big episode for John. Like, if you want to talk about just John giving us the most iconic moments, like, this is the one.
Can John just be in every single reality show, please?
Literally, like, just,
because he's just like gold. Like, his dialogue and like anything he says is just like so articulate, and he's just so perfect.
Yeah. Get John on everything.
Oh yeah. MJ mentions how there's a shield and they don't know who got it, and we flash back to Peter telling Trishelle and John to keep it a secret.
Yeah, which, I mean, he did do this last week, which, I mean, was good work from him, I think. I think that was definitely good work on his part. But it also was just like, you know, not really benefiting Peter much.
Yeah. Also, Trishelle kind of annoyed me in this episode with, like, being so whiny about the shield.
Trishelle's been annoying me, but yes.
Like, this one for sure. She was just so frustrating.
Yeah.
The last person to arrive to breakfast and safe from murder is Trishelle, meaning Kevin has been murdered.
Yeah, and I wasn't particularly surprised by this. I feel like it was Kevin's time. I feel like we've seen pretty much all we needed to from him. I feel like he definitely was like prominent in the beginning, but it's like the more the show went on, I felt like he became like significantly less and less important to people. So I wasn't like the edit especially kind of turned out that way. So I wasn't too surprised that
like
Kevin
besides his alliance, he had like nobody.
Yeah.
And
well,
also,
I mean, he kept getting into fights with everybody, so like
I know.
he didn't really have much, much room.
It's so funny. Also, wow, you've been murdered by Kate and Phaedra. What do you feel?
I'm honored, honestly. No one else would I rather be murdered by.
Honestly,
that's the way to go. That's the way to go.
Like if Kate and Phaedra murdered me, I'd be like,
I'd say thank you.
We cut back to Phaedra and Kate, and Phaedra says Kevin has to die because it breaks down the gang, and Kate agrees it will send Peter in a tailspin, and Phaedra says she wants to see him break into a little toy plane. That was funny.
That's
great. Kevin then reads the note that he has been murdered. He says with the highs does come with the lows, and sometimes a murder letter and he asks if he gets to keep it, which was honestly pretty funny.
That was like literally like the most Kevin thing he could have said.
I know.
I'll get to Kevin in a little bit, but definitely not one for the game. Like definitely not good at this game at all. I will
he's very entertaining, and he seems like a nice guy. He's just like he doesn't know how to play the game.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more in the We'll talk about it more in the what's it called, the round, like the post-mortem. But yeah, Kevin did not play this game well.
Not at all. Trishelle is surprised that was it, and Sandra asks her if she had a shield, and she says she did, but only a few people knew, which is interesting.
I feel like this was bad. I don't think Trishelle should have said this. I think honestly she should have kept this to herself. And just kind of like lead everyone to just be like suspicious of who it is. But like her putting it out that it was her, it just, again, not great for her or Peter's crew. Like if she wants to keep Peter safe, you keep this hush hush.
Exactly. Kate says she can't believe they could have murdered someone with a shield. She hasn't had time to process the shift from faithful to traitor, so she's not thinking with a traitor mind yet, but Phaedra has, and she feels she needs to get her shit together. So Alan then walks in and wishes them good morning and asks Peter to bring Kevin's photo to him. Alan gives a soliloquy about Kevin, saying he's up in the heaven, and whenever the lark glistens in the moonlight, he will say his face, and whenever the majestic stag bellows in the forest, you will hear his voice, but not really. That was funny. So
Alan kills me.
Oh, he's amazing.
Oh yeah.
The show now must go on, and they are to meet him for the mission and not be late or he'll be cross.
That's great.
CT asks John if he has a few words for Kevin, and John says to simply bless him, and they all laugh.
The one time John like doesn't have anything to say. It was great.
He just says bless him.
Yeah, he's just like bless him.
Peter is looking distraught, realizing with less people his close friends are unfortunately gone, and they keep taking blow after blow. The other side of the house isn't getting any smaller. He hates losing, and today he is feeling like there's a really good chance he will.
Oh, it's me. Okay. So I was like, why are we pausing? I'm like, oh yeah.
Post breakfast is your part.
I know. All right. So Kate then asks Peter if he likes this more than The Bachelor. He says yes. She's surprised that he likes this more than 25 women begging at his feet. And he says, believe it or not, that is a billion times more stressful. So yeah, he's enjoyed playing this game more. We get this very interesting conversation between Phaedra and CT and Trishelle here, where they go to talk. Trishelle joins them. So they're doing the thing that like Peter's group wasn't allowing them to do. Yeah, sure, you can join us. We're not going to shut the door in your face. So She asks them what the Kevin murder says, if anything. CT then thinks Peter is looking really sus at this point. Phaedra says every traitor they have found out, he said some dealings to point where they feel compelled to ask if they can say something, or is he going to talk? So Phaedra says that her name is obviously still out there because the bell can't be unrun, but the goal is to break up an alliance, so they have to start with the top, which is Peter, and then once they do, the rest are going to scatter. And I mean, I think Phaedra does really well in like trying to get them against Peter. Like, this is what Parvati needed to do, this is what Dan needed to do, and she does it better here than they did immediately just trying to throw out Peter. So yeah. CT agrees that he's always withholding something, telling people things, and creating confusion where no one knows what's what, and it's just blatantly protecting traitors. He doesn't know if it says he's a traitor, but it's the only thing he's got at this point. Trishelle says that Peter didn't want to get murdered, so that's why he did what he did by picking a fight with Parvati, and they both don't see it. CT says he thinks it's time for her to be a bit more open-minded about him, and yeah, I mean, Trishelle's still defending Peter here, which this was bad for Trishelle. Like, if I'm CT in this moment, I start to think, maybe Trishelle and Peter are both traitors just based on how they're playing it. Like, she always defends him. He always defends her. Like, this was not good for Trishelle, I feel like.
Not at all.
So Trishelle says she loves CT, really trusts him in this game, but right now she's torn between him or Peter. Doesn't think Peter would lie to that many people, still thinks that he's faithful, so she really wants to stick to her guns on this one. So yeah, she's still very much just like, Phaedra's got to go. That's what we got to do. So she pulls John aside, and I got to say, John really impressed me in this episode. Like, this was a really great episode for him. He's taking his position as like the most faithful out of everybody and really using it to his advantage. And I thought he did a great job in this episode.
Oh, he was so good in this episode.
So she says that she's not really excited about the roundtable. He says that Kevin is out, so their numbers are now few, but they are where they are, and there are 9 of them left. 5 votes would suffice to get rid of somebody tonight, and they need to decide where their target is, and the 2 of them and Peter should try to stick together. So she mentions to him that their side has Kevin gone. Meanwhile, the other side still has 4 people from the same network that are all voting together. He asks if they're doomed. She says that, yeah, they are. So he asks what the move would be from Phaedra, and she says it is to save herself. So Peter comes over to them. John mentions to him what Trishelle said, and she says that they won't vote for Phaedra, so it will be one of them up for banishment. John then asks what they need. Peter says they need 5, so they need to get 2 more. And Peter says that it has to be Sandra and CT, or else they're done. So yeah, John says at the roundtable they have to construct a majority. So they have to go around lobbying for support, but it's far more stressful than a parliamentary session. Again, literally give me all the confessionals from John. They're all amazing. Like, we don't get enough.
Yeah. I don't think he does anything wrong. He's just too perfect.
Oh, yeah. So Phaedra goes to Shereé, MJ, and Sandra, says she doesn't want to say anything because she keeps gunning for him, but Peter's behavior is consistent with that of a traitor. He's had a deal with all the revealed traitors, and Sandra agrees that is traitor behavior. And again, very impressed by how Phaedra plays this. It's like you take what you know, but you use that against the person that you're trying to target. It's like, yeah, he was working with Dan. He was working with Parvati. Like, that's suspicious. Like, this was good for Phaedra, I think. And part of the reason why I think the outcome turns out to be what it is by the end of this episode. So Shereé says that she would have loved to see the conversation that him and Dan had. Shereé says that she loves Peter, but he's the person that is very influential, making fake fights, fake stories. It's like the boy who cried wolf. He's created so many lies and chaos. No one will believe him when he is telling the truth. We actually got a little bit more from Shereé in this episode. Nothing crazy. It's still very much just like
she's not. Yeah, she hasn't been playing like this great game, but like nobody suspects her or anything.
It's still like filler type content. Like, it's not much from her, but it's at least a little bit more. Enough to where I do think Shereé probably gets to the end of this game, but we'll see.
I think so.
So Peter pulls CT aside, asks where he's leaning for his vote right now. CT says it's him, and Peter is shocked at this point. He's like, why would you say this to me? But in my mind, I'm like, Peter, you were literally just as direct with like Dan and Parvati. Why are you shocked about this? Like, you literally did the same thing. Why are you now shocked that it's happening to you? So CT says he just doesn't believe anything he says, how inconsistent and showy he has been. Peter says that, oh, well, that's my strategy. And I'm like, I mean, that doesn't mean you're not doing it. And CT says that everything's a part of his master plan. But then the next morning he wakes up saying he doesn't know what's going on. Peter says they've gotten 2 traitors out and a blocked shield due to it. He doesn't have to like how he's playing, but this is how he's decided, so he's going to stick to it. CT agrees, which, you know, he should, but he still is very firm in where he's leaning. It's like, yeah, this is just what I'm thinking. Like, I'm not... And the thing that was annoying about this conversation is that Peter's so offended by what CT's saying, but CT's like, listen, dude, I have no issue with how you're playing the game. It's literally just like, this is what I'm perceiving. This is what I see. You are a traitor. And it's like, yeah, that makes the most sense. So I was just very annoyed by Peter in this conversation.
I know,
like
Peter
I have
was
been throughout
so
a good majority of the season.
Yeah.
So,
like, I get it. He's trying to like be like trying to survive and everything, but like he's just doing it so terribly.
Yeah, like he takes everything so personally. It's really annoying. So
yeah, remember at the beginning when I thought he was going to be the nice guy?
No,
he's not. I mean, he has his moments, but he's not like that nice.
Yeah, so Peter says he promises him he's going to waste this. CT asks who else it is, then back to Phaedra, because at least he's consistent about that. Peter says they have 4 wins that have come from that. Why is he mad about it? And CT says he's not going to play a game of the Traitors and try and cut a deal with them. And this is the thing I actually really do admire about CT, is that he's very adamant where it's like, I don't want to play both sides. Like, I'm a faithful to the end. And he really is a faithful to the end. Like, he's not going to work with the Traitors. He's not going to even entertain the idea of it. And I think it's working out like really well for him. Like, he's made it very clear that he's like a team player. It's taken the heat off of him. Like, if you remember in the beginning of the season, he was being accused of being a traitor almost every single round. And I think what's really helped him is have this mentality of like, I'm the hero. I'm here to help everybody. I'm here to protect everyone. Like, actually doing what Peter's been saying he's been doing, but actually doing it. Like, CT's doing that way better. And I generally like very impressed by him in this episode. So
yeah, CT's doing what Peter wants to play like.
Yeah, literally. So Peter says that today is so damn frustrating because it's happening to him. That's why it's frustrating. The same thing he did to other people is now happening to him, and he's not happy about it. So he says now he's trying to win this game. He's constantly dealing with distraction. He says he's playing aggressive and will fight like hell to win the game, but he can't control what people think, and it's so frustrating. And in my mind, I'm like, Peter, you're doing too much. You need to dial it down. Like, it's not that you're not playing hard enough. It's that you're playing too hard. Like, that's literally the issue here, and he just can't seem to recognize it. So it's very frustrating, but it's also very funny to watch, just seeing Peter constantly try to figure out like, what is it that I'm doing wrong when it's so obvious what he's doing wrong.
Definitely. Like, sir, what are you doing? You're
too
doing
much.
Too much.
Too much is the answer. What is he not doing at this point, honestly? What is he not doing?
He needs to chill.
Yeah.
So, getting to the mission, the remaining 9 players make their way into a church. Kate says Lightning is going to strike her down, not because she's a whore, but because she's a traitor. That was funny.
That's great. Another great line from Kate.
So good.
Oh, yeah.
They walk in and see a bunch of cloaks with masks on them. Alan walks in and tells them that each of their names have been immortalized in separate stained glass windows. What they must do is take it in turns to shoot one of the windows and with a crossbow. To complete the mission, they must break every window until just one name remains. Whichever player's name remains at the end of the session will get a shield and will be protected from tonight's murder. Honestly, I actually really enjoyed this mission. It was very spicy.
I love this one so much. It like forces you to kind of expose like it's one of those games where like you can either play it selfishly and like get out your target, or you can just play for the team and just do what they were doing and like just like figuring out the best way for them all to play this. And I thought it was really exciting to see, you know, who is going to do this selfishly and who is just trying to win the prize money.
Exactly. And it's like, it was so fun to watch. It's so good to watch.
Yeah, these are the best kind of comps, the ones that involve like a lot of strategy, but also like really expose like people's games potentially. Yes. I definitely want to see more stuff like this. Like they need to do this again immediately.
Also, my favorite part of this is when everyone kept missing.
Oh, it was great.
It's so funny.
And they were all trying to take on the same person. Like they were all trying to get
Alan was just like, Alan's just like, you all suck.
Yeah, it was great.
He's so like direct.
Oh yeah. He's direct, but he has like a very like classy way of doing it. Like he's like full camp all the time, and it's so funny.
Oh, it's so good. They will start the mission with 25k, but every time someone fires a crossbow and misses, 250 will be omitted from the amount. So the question is, whose name are they going to target?
Yep.
Jones says he would like to get a shield because at the moment the traitors are busily killing his colleagues. He would like to be protected from murder, and this would be the way to achieve that.
Which, like, yeah, but like John is the last person that needs a shield. Like, he's not going anytime soon.
He just wants it on a resume, I think. But I love that he just calls his castmates his colleagues.
It was great.
So good. Phaedra says she thinks she will like this mission because they can chip away at the Peter pals and further disband them because they think they're so powerful.
Yeah, so she doesn't really care about like playing for the team at this point. Her mission is fully like, let's just make sure the Peter pals don't win, like don't win shields here. It was very, and I feel like this was going to be an indication like this is going to be a fun one to watch.
It's so good. Phaedra is the first to step up, and she decides to aim for John and says she doesn't think he needs a shield, so she aims her crossbow and misses.
Yep.
CT is next and decides to aim alphabetically down the line, going for Kate, who assumes he will, but she assumes he's gonna miss anyway.
Yeah.
So then he does anyway. He does miss.
Yep.
Kate is next and decides to aim for CT to go alphabetically for real. She almost gets it, but misses.
Yeah, everyone's just missing at this point.
Kate says it's embarrassing to miss, but she doesn't really care because she's the one doing the murdering. Sandra is next and aims at John because he is the most faithful of all the faithfuls, and she misses. And then Shereé also goes for John and misses. John says people are going for him like ferrets in a sack, and it's starting to feel a bit personal.
That was great.
Why does that give like country sayings on like Hannah Montana vibes?
It does.
Like better than a possum on a something.
Sure, we'll go with that.
I was just trying to think of something that they say on it.
The keyword is tried. The keyword is tried. You tried. You tried.
John is next and says he'll be trying to go for MJ, but then he misses.
Yep.
He says he doesn't feel embarrassed, but irritated with himself. Trishelle is next and decides to aim at Shereé and misses.
Yep.
So at this point, 2250 has been deducted from their total.
Yeah, they're just doing terribly at this point.
They're so bad. They now have a fresh start with Phaedra deciding to aim at Shereé because the last person was just up under Peter. So she's going to move it slightly, but not move it too much so it's a tactical shooting, but she still misses her shot.
Yep.
CT is next and decides to aim at Shereé and almost hits it but misses.
Yep.
So we then see a bunch of people miss their target, but then finally when
too many to name, like I tried, it went too quickly. I couldn't even tell you what they were shooting. I think they were all trying to go for CT, and it just wasn't working.
So finally, when MJ decides to go for Shereé, she hits it. So hey, we got a hit.
That was great.
Phaedra is next and decides to go for Peter, and she successfully hits it.
Yep.
Peter says while it's in the center and is an easy target, he has a feeling she wants to smash it for other reasons. It's tough because it is a good sign for the group since they need some money, but if there's ever a time he needed a shield, it's now.
Again, Peter's just like so distraught this entire episode.
Yep, he sounds.
And I'm also thinking like you're not going to need a shield because.
Oh no. I was like, was it my connection?
I'm not gonna
I was like, was it my connection? But you froze, so I'm like, my connection.
Yeah, I figured it was mine when it started, like when the screen went black.
Oh no. All right. So anyway, CT then decides to go for Phaedra, and he successfully hits it.
Yep. He's
like, love her, but I have to go for her.
Well, because they have this strategy now, so they have to.
Yeah, exactly. From this point forward, all the targets start to hit. Phaedra then decides to go ahead and hit Trishelle, getting back onto the bottom.
Yep, and this is a very important moment in the episode, like way more important than you think.
Oh yeah. Trishelle feels she is very well set up to get the shield, as all the panes around her name are smashed. Phaedra should be doing that what they've been doing, which is try not to lose more money and just go for the top panes.
Yeah, I mean she's right, but like it's more entertaining that way.
Oh yeah, for sure. And also, I don't want Trishelle to get another shield. She doesn't need it. She can just go.
Especially because she's probably the person most likely to get murdered next.
Mm-hmm. I just think she's very unlikable.
Yeah, she is.
Because she's just so like entitled.
She's very self-righteous. She's very self-righteous, and I don't like that about her.
Yeah. Phaedra says she's always coming for her. She gets it. She thinks she's a traitor, but if she comes for her, she will take her to task.
Yep.
So she goes ahead and hits her target, and it does miss.
Yep.
Trishelle feels this is a red flag. She is a traitor and has now screwed up the game and screwed everyone else in the process out of money just to purposely keep her from getting the shield.
Which is what she was doing, admittedly, but like, Trishelle, shut up.
Yeah, literally, shush. So Kate then also goes for Trishelle and is able to hit it. So oh my god, her face when she hit her name was so funny. She's great. Just like, how dare you?
Yeah, she was so pissed.
It's the more entertaining one.
Oh yeah.
Kate says Phaedra is not doing herself any favors, and by proxy, her as her new fellow traitor.
Yeah.
The last 3 players remaining are John, CT, and Kate.
Yeah, I mean, Kate's right. Like, Phaedra's not playing this well. Like, she's making it very obvious that, like, this is my target. This is the person I want out.
Exactly. She didn't really do herself any favors at all.
No.
So Phaedra goes to hit Kate, and it does hit. Alan asks CT how much he wants to win a shield, and CT says they are nice and he'd take it. And John says it would mean a great deal to him. So CT goes to take his shot at John, and it does hit, so meaning CT has a shield and is safe from murder tonight.
Big moment for CT, I think, because this really, like, I mean, we get to see CT in, like, full, like, strategic mode.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is great for him. CT says he won the shield tonight and he'll take it, but he feels like Phaedra and Sandra purposefully prevented Trishelle from getting it, and that is traitor behavior to him, and doesn't know how he will bring it up to people.
Yeah, and this is huge because, like, I mean, this whole season we've been thinking, okay, he's with Phaedra till the end. The two of them might potentially even be in like a showmance of sorts. Like, we don't really know. And I think that might have changed after this episode.
Yeah. So, post-mission, in the car with John, Sandra tells him if CT didn't shoot at him, she wasn't going to, and was actually going to try to get him a shield and commend him for getting all the way to the end where no one could get him.
Yep. I mean, it's crazy that John got so far when they were trying to shoot at him, like, immediately.
I know. Kate talks to CT and MJ and says she bet CT liked this mission, and he says he got lucky because he didn't know she was going to do that, switching from him. And Kate says she missed him on purpose, and he says she does like him.
That was great.
It was so good. Trishelle says to Peter and Shereé she did feel a certain way when Phaedra decided to go away from CT and put it onto her. It did feel like that was completely opposite way to target, and they agree.
Yep.
Stop whining, Trishelle. They then all enjoy something called dirty macaroni and cheese, and whilst doing so...
Okay, the only reason I put that down is because of Phaedra's reaction. Like, what the hell is dirty macaroni and cheese?
Oh, that was so funny.
Oh yeah, like so she was so like confused as to like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, right. It's hilarious. So Peter talks to John and Trishelle how he will likely be put up for banishment tonight, and he has all the evidence to lay out how he can't be a traitor, but it won't matter. So he isn't sure what to do, and John says he has an idea. CT will not shift and will vote with Phaedra, and so it will Shereé. So he needs to think of who may be persuadable. And he brings up Sandra and MJ as the ones that are left.
And again, John just like really killing it here. Like, this is a really, really good move from him.
Oh, it's so great. Sandra comes in and Peter makes a pitch to her about why he can't be a traitor and says if someone wants to stay with their friends for who they like and vote out a faithful, they are done and should forget about winning this. And he asks if she wants to win the game or stay friends. And she says she will listen to what he has to say at the round table and will know once he starts talking.
Yep. Which, I mean, this was good for Sandra, I think. Like, this is probably one of the more better conversations that Peter has had with someone where it's like, okay, I'm not infuriated by Sandra. She's at least willing to listen to me. Like, I thought this was a good conversation.
Oh, yeah, definitely. John asks Trishelle if she thinks Sandra will listen to him, and she tells him he will have to change her mind because people will listen to him.
Yeah, I mean, like, good on Trishelle. Like, she's recognizing, like, I'm not going to do anything. What I'm saying is not going to work. They will listen to John.
Oh, definitely. Trishelle says she thinks John will easily convince Sandra, so if she gets him to work on Kate and MJ and kind of see where their heads are at, she just hopes they're interested in getting a traitor out and wants to make sure that happens.
Yep.
Peter says his plan of action right now is to free Phaedra from the rest of the group and create an opportunity for Trishelle to convince the rest of the faithful.
Which, I mean, not a terrible move on his end, but it's also like, Peter, this is literally the thing you've been getting called out for. Like, don't do it again.
Literally. Sandra talks to MJ, Shereé, and Kate that John is 100% that Phaedra is a traitor, and Shereé says she's curious to hear what he's telling her, and they listen to overhear what he is telling her. Peter talks to Phaedra and says he doesn't want to think it's her, he just does, and he can't shake the reasons that he thinks them. He thinks it's between the both of them tonight, and he just doesn't see how that could get any momentum, just because there's a lot of evidence for how he can't be one. Trishelle goes to them and says they all know it's Peter or Phaedra, but she knows it's Phaedra. 3 people voted for her, one of them, Kevin, who is gone, and then she tried to sabotage the mission whenever she goes all the way from CT to her.
I'm still here. I'm just ordering Chipotle.
Okay, sounds good. She goes all the way from CT to her name solely, so she doesn't have a shield and can murder her tomorrow, and that is compelling evidence and is entirely traitor behavior. And Kate says lying and not telling them who a traitor is also is traitor behavior.
Yeah, I mean, Kate, again, just doing such a great job of defending Phaedra here, as she has all season. Like, this is the reason that it made sense for Phaedra to choose her.
Oh, for sure. Like, it was so good and smart. Oh, yeah. Trishelle says they explain the reason, and she knows what she's talking about, which is the exact scenario that's happening right now. Kate says it's not that she thinks Peter's a traitor, it's because she knows he's not, but he's trying to make it to the end, and she's going to vote him out, so he can't. She's so, like, blunt. So great. Trishelle says Phaedra has 4 people that will never see evidence and have blind loyalty to her, and MJ says that isn't true. She didn't come to this castle to win a personality test with these ladies, and if any of them do that, they will all lose. So she's going to go in with a very open mind, and Trishelle says she really appreciates it. MJ says,
I mean, this was a pretty crucial moment for MJ because, like, on one hand, you can see this as, oh, MJ's really open. On the other hand, you can see it as, like, MJ's going to defend herself, but she kind of has been doing what Trishelle is accusing her of. Like, yes, Phaedra, MJ, Shereé, and Kate have been in lockstep the entire game. But I think that's more, honestly, I think it's honestly more a testament to how good Phaedra's been playing than them just being, like, loyal soldiers. Like, it's just kind of worked out that way. So it's like that moment where you realize, oh shit, wait, no, I have been following her. No, that's not what I've been doing. I've been doing this, and this. It's like we've all been there in games where it's like we're being accused of playing somebody else's game, and that's exactly what MJ's trying to do here. So I honestly think that I don't think this is hinting at the fact that MJ's turning on Phaedra. I think it's more she's trying to defend herself and it's not working. Like, I think that's more what this is.
Definitely. Okay. MJ says while they are Bravo girls, if Phaedra is a traitor, her, Shereé, and Kate will be more interested in finding that out than worried about what Phaedra will think.
Yeah, and I mean, this is probably the most important scene of the episode, because this really makes me think, I don't think MJ is voting out Phaedra here, just because of the fact that, like you said, like, her, Shereé, and Kate will always vote together. We already know where they voted, so I just don't think MJ is voting out Phaedra, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, she is very unexpected, but yeah.
Yeah.
CT is very suspicious of Sandra and Phaedra, but doesn't know what to do since he does consider Phaedra a friend, and this game is really getting really getting tough.
Yep.
He goes to Trishelle and says he doesn't know what to do with this, and talks to her about how Phaedra and Sandra acted at the mission today, and that they both prevented her from getting the shields.
And I'll be honest, this scene, the best Trishelle has played all game. Like, this is the only
this
time
is actually
I will
good.
give Trishelle credit. I thought she handled this conversation well.
Oh, I think so too. Like, this is actually, like, she does have smart, like, tendencies, but she's also very, like,
Does she?
annoying. I mean, like, at times. So, and Trishelle says she believes him with Sandra, but doesn't think they should bring it up tonight because they don't want her to know she will not say a fucking word, and asks if he is willing to vote Phaedra, and he asks if she thinks she's 100% a traitor, and Trishelle says she does, and he says he's down to do it, and she says she won't say anything to anybody.
Yep, and I honestly think Trishelle handled herself really well in this conversation. She didn't push too hard for Phaedra to go in a way that, like, made it seem like she's a traitor and wants her out. But she also recognized that, you know, she's recognized how the game is gone. You know, Parvati called out the housewives too early on. That put a target on her back. Trishelle called out Phaedra too early. You know, you had Peter calling out Parvati too early on. That put a target on his back. Like, Trishelle's recognizing that, like, if you say more than one name too early, that's not going to get traction. It's just going to fuck you over. So I actually thought this was good work from Trishelle. Probably the only good work she does all episode, because everything else, bad.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, most of this episode, she's pretty terrible.
The whole season she's played terrible, but this is the only time I'm like, okay, I actually like what you did here.
Yeah. CT says he doesn't want to play a game or cut a deal with the traitor. They should get rid of them.
Yep.
Trishelle says she doesn't see CT being on board coming, but is now feeling super confident that Phaedra is a traitor and they will get her out tonight.
And then we get to what is by far one of the most exciting roundtables of the season. I will say, I don't think anything is going to top the Dan roundtable. I think that will far and away be the best roundtable of the season. Oh yeah, but this comes pretty close. I thought this was.
I will say Janelle's was pretty spicy too. Like, her and Sandra's fight.
Janelle's was great. Larsa's was great. There were a lot of great ones this season. I mean, all of them have honestly been really great. I don't think there's been a single dud in terms of roundtables. So Phaedra says that she knows Peter doesn't like her. She gets it, but she will never be intimidated at the round table. MJ says she's going to round table tonight with an open mind. She doesn't know which way to go when she thinks the game is hard. It just gets harder. Again, keep in mind, MJ's going with an open mind. That's very important, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
How this
very
ends.
Literally, that's why I made the photo on our Instagram, the picture of MJ, because she's very crucial.
She's literally the deciding vote, yeah. So Kate says this morning was very difficult for her as a traitor. She feels more confident now and feels comfortable that Peter will be banished, but thinks that there will be a little bit of explaining to do when he turns around and says he's a faithful, but they'll handle it then. So John then says it's vital that they hit all the right targets tonight. His view is Phaedra's a traitor, and if they don't get rid of her, she will get rid of them. I'm sorry, I had to throw out a little Alan Cumming on the traitor there. All right.
So good.
At the round table, John then starts off, and like I said, big episode for John. He starts off and he calls out Phaedra, directly saying that this is a pivotal moment in the game, almost certainly a turning point, after which there is no realistic prospect of turning back. And he does believe Phaedra, although she's a magnificent person, she's a traitor. And I'm sounding too much like Alan Cumming at this point, so I'm going to stop. He says...
That sounds more like Alan than John.
I know, I fucked that up. He says... in support of his proposition, which he cannot prove, but which he asks her to consider, and that is to support the following, and says 2 people as traitors, both named her as one, and he believes that's an important point. And the second is that he thinks it matters in this game to find and banish the traitors. Now, of course, it's a game of skill and intuition and calculation and maneuvering, but her approach is to avoid error. She flies low and non-committal by day, fatal under cover of darkness. He's absolutely clear in his mind that if his attempt is to banish her tonight is unsuccessful, he won't be here tomorrow. Now is not the time to sit on the fence. It is time to confront and defeat the enemies. She is a traitor and should be banished until eternity. And he finally ends his essay right then and there.
Great.
So
yeah, he literally like it feels like he's reading like a speech.
Yeah, it literally felt like he was doing like a college essay. Like that was insane.
It's so good.
And Phaedra, I mean, again, just we've said this before. The two things Phaedra's done so well all season. One, I think she's had an impeccable social game. Like that continues to be the case this season. Two, she is so good at defending herself. She always has she always has the right answer. She always is good with, like answering the questions and not trying to dodge them. And that and also just reading the people, the filth that are accusing her. And she continues to do that here. So Phaedra says she's glad he's not God. He speaks very eloquently, but unfortunately, this is not Parliament. So he can bring it down a notch and just get to the point, which they all would appreciate. And I mean, yes, but I also love when John goes on these like long tangents because it's just like nobody else would talk like this. Like literally nobody else, unless you're in politics, would talk like this. So
yeah, like unless you're in politics or like anything that's like a lawyer or just like some like really high end like that.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm just texting you.
Okay.
I did not type it right there, but whatever.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about what you got for dinner.
Yeah. So she says, in the case of her, she's a faithful, and while he would love to protect Peter with those two traitors, he so eloquently stated had in common was that both, and this was a great defense I thought from Phaedra, she talks about how both of them were in collision with his bromance friend Peter. So what does that really mean if he's such a traitor hunter? Why isn't he talking about that? And she says, since he so eloquently defended him, now likes her so much, he wants to work with her. And Peter says, oh, this isn't true. This is not what I was doing. He says he just asked her to have a conversation with her tonight. She calls him out for all the closed door meetings he has with telling people to leave the room. He says there's nothing wrong in Game of Traitors to want to have private discussions because he knows who's listening to him. And if she's going to say there's something illogical about doing that, they are just disconnected here. So she says that he thinks he can play all these tricks and plant seeds everywhere, but he forgot this is not The Bachelor and she doesn't have to kiss his ass for a rose. And that is such a great line. Oh my God.
Such a great quote.
Yeah, that was amazing. And like we were all waiting for that. We saw it in like the we saw it in like the promo for the season, like very early on. It was so great to finally get that line. So she says she doesn't like how he plays the game. It's all about him. She doesn't have to answer to him when he comes up to her saying he has to convince her that she's not a traitor, which is what he was doing. Like he can say what he wants. That literally is what he did. He said, I think you're a traitor. Convince me while you're not. That's what he told her. And he gets very angry here. He says that he doesn't want her to be a traitor because to that point he liked her up until the words she just gave to him. All he's done this entire game is do his absolute best to find the traitors. She knows he rejected his letter and probably didn't like it. She says she knows nothing about it. And he says that she can critique his gameplay all he wants, but don't call him a selfish player because that's the last thing that he is. And I would very much disagree with that, but cool, Peter, sure.
Yeah, Peter's very selfish.
CT then really comes in hot here, and I thought just did, again, an amazing job at this roundtable. He brings up all the evidence he has at the mission with them not moving over and having a shot at a bigger target instead of just coming all the way down here to someone. Literally, like, has like a Venn diagram to like show this, which I thought was like really cool. The way, like, just the dedication, like literally drawing out, like, this is where we needed to go. Why did we go here? I thought it was so great. He didn't understand why they didn't go all the way down here to someone who's been attacking her to prevent Trishelle from getting a shield. Phaedra says that that's not what she was doing. Trishelle says that she saw that she was getting the shield because all the ones around her were busted because that's the plan and that's what they have been doing. So she saw that and wondered who voted for her last night with Kevin no longer being here because she murdered him and she didn't let her get it. Phaedra says it has nothing to do with targeting her, and Trishelle says that she had no one around her. She was going to win the shield and she knew that, and she said she couldn't, so she could be murdered like Kevin. And here's why Trishelle is doing a bad job and CT isn't. CT is presenting facts as to like, this was our plan and this is what you did instead, and this makes you look like a traitor. Trishelle's entire focus is just, oh, everybody wanted me to get a shield and you kept that from happening. Like, that's all she cares about. Like, it's obvious that Trishelle doesn't really care what she did, just that it affected her. Like, that's all that matters to Trishelle, and it's just really bad gameplay, as it's been all season. So Sandra tells Peter her whole issue comes down to him wanting to save Parvati yesterday, but she knew that she was a traitor, just set off alarm bells. Shereé says it didn't make sense to jump from where they were to save Parvati because he thinks that she's going to give him information, and Peter says that at the end, to win this game as a faithful is to get to the end with someone that he actually knows for sure is a traitor. And I will agree with Peter on this. I get what he's trying to say here, that he says that, like, you know, you need to make sure you have that traitor that like everyone knows is a traitor so you can just win the game. But the thing is, like, that's not what Peter's been saying. Like, all this time he was saying, oh, I was trying to lead her on. I was trying to make her feel comfortable. That's not what he was saying before. He needed to say this at like the Parvati round table. And he didn't. And I think if he had said that like earlier on, it would have actually worked out better for him. But the fact that he's saying this now, it just seems like he's trying to, you know, come up with a way to defend himself pretty much. So, yeah, but I do agree with him. Like, you need to have that one traitor that everyone knows is a traitor. So you can just, it's like when someone has an idol in Survivor and you know they have the idol and you're waiting for them to play the idol so you can idol them out. It's kind of like that. Like, I get what he's saying, but again, he should have said this like way earlier on. It's just like Dan trying to go for Phaedra. Like, should have said this earlier. So Phaedra asks why he's always running around with the traitors, why they always have to get his permission before they can speak. He asks if she seriously thinks he's a traitor when they have evidence in this game about the Bergie shield block. Why would he have misfired on a murder? So that alone proves it. And Trishelle asks, in what world would a traitor make those moves? It just wouldn't make sense. Peter says if they don't get this right tonight, the traitors are going to win the game. And Alan then tells them time for talking's over and it's time to vote. And we get to the vote, and this was a very, very spicy one, obviously.
Oh, it's so spicy, and it's such a close vote too. Like, I love close votes.
Oh yeah. Especially at this point in the game. So MJ says this is really gut-wrenching. She doesn't want to make a mistake right now. She doesn't know if she can trust Phaedra. She thinks that Peter would turn on her no problem every day. She thinks she's been through the hardest thing. There's another curveball coming around that corner. I also should mention, we're like 50 minutes into the episode at this point. This is like a 57-minute episode. I think we knew, we're not wrapping this up tonight. This is going to go into the next episode. So it's then time to reveal the votes. Phaedra's first, and she went with Peter, says she thinks she said it plenty of times tonight. Sandra's then next, and she went with Peter, saying he feeds her whatever he wants her to believe. Then it ends up being the opposite from what is actually said. She just can't get past that, and that's why she thinks that he's a traitor. Peter's then next and says that he thinks he most definitely would never be a traitor, but his vote is for Phaedra, and he's a faithful to the end. John is the next and went for Phaedra. Trishelle is next, and she went with Phaedra. And then we go to CT, and this is really where things get spicy. He votes for Phaedra and says it's one thing to go out of her way to help someone win, but it's another to make sure they get murdered. That's a pretty telltale sign to him. The fact that CT voted for her is not good. Like, this is not good at all. This is like the one person. This is the one person she's been defending like all season.
Like, yeah, she's been like protecting him because of her crush.
Yeah, this is not good. I don't see, like, even if Phaedra, here's the thing, even if Phaedra doesn't go here, I don't see how she gets past this. Like, the fact that CT
I think it's like
her,
good
I
just
don't see it.
It's good for CTs and with like everyone else, but like it's not good for Phaedra if she stays.
No, I think she probably goes next at this point, but we'll see. So Shereé is next. She went with Peter, says for the longest she believed that he was a faithful and is not sure about him turning down the recruitment. Kate is the next, and she went with Peter, says she can't believe or trust him. So with 4 votes for Peter and 4 votes for Phaedra, it comes down to MJ, who is the deciding vote, and we don't know where she voted. So we will have to see.
We'll find out this week.
We're going to speculate on that in a little bit. But before we do, we have a postmortem to talk about. So Ali, go ahead and talk about give us a little bit of behind the scenes on the ultimatum.
All right. So Phaedra says she decided to recruit Kate because she was new to the house. She had experience playing this specific game and is pretty hilarious and quirky. So she thought she would be a nice addition and that their personalities would balance and bounce off each other well, which is true.
Boy, was she right. Because, like I said, those two literal match made in heaven. Like, they're so good together.
It's so great.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say they're like a duo or anything, but like they're good as like a murder.
Well, they have to be now because they're traitors. You kind of have to be a duo if you're a traitor.
Yeah, a good murdering duo for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Kate always wanted to be a traitor after playing the first time because they had such an advantage. However, after now becoming one, she has started to second guess herself constantly.
Mm-hmm.
She nearly shit her pants when MJ called her out because of how direct it was, but also how much she knew how the light was drained out of her, and as she is no longer a team player. Ready to take out the traitors, she is scared, nervous Nelly.
Yeah, I mean, this is the perfect example of like you think something's easy and then you do it and it's like, oh fuck, I actually have to do this. I have to turn on people. I have to make all these crazy deals. Like I don't want to do this. This is why I really do think that it's good that Kate became a traitor now, because if she was a traitor from the beginning, I don't think she would have lasted very long at all. I think people would have figured it out very quickly just because Kate is, listen, I love Kate. I don't think Kate is a very good player. I think the reason Kate has done well, I think she's played better this season, but it's because she's playing with a house full of just like insane over the top people. And she's like the one that's like, come on guys, get real. Like she's been
just
that
like,
person.
She really just like doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, she's been that person all game because she's been allowed to be that person. But I don't think she's a good strategist by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not at all.
This is an example of that.
No, not at all. Also, Kevin's going to be talking about Kevin's murder for the meme.
Yeah, it kind of just makes sense, you know? So Kate wasn't prepared when Phaedra asked her who to murder, but did suggest Kevin, which she admits wasn't the most strategic decision, but they also had a lot to spend a lot of time in the castle, and he seemed like an easy enough murder that no one will be mad about it. So Phaedra says that Kevin was firmly with the Peter pals, and they were really trying to break up that clique to bring more peace to the house. He also was very suspicious of her, though through that group, and they already knew, so they tried to turn a traitor into their mule, but he would never get her to beg for him because that's not at all in her nature. They both knew there was a strong possibility that Peter had a shield, so they wanted their murder to be effective, thus Kevin had to go. So Kevin then talks a little bit about his strategy coming into the game. He wanted to find people who had a lot of experience in gaming and follow their plan and find other teammates that could actually support this plan and carry it out, which is basically what he did. He wanted to learn and also be a part of a winning team instead of going out there solo, just trying to be a lone wolf because he felt like at least they'd be protected with a group with the majority vote. He thinks he was targeted as a murderer because he went for a possible traitor despite what they all had agreed upon before going at the round table with them going after Phaedra, but he also did it in the hopes that they would target Peter before him. But he also thinks it might prove that Peter's a traitor and got recruited since he didn't get murdered yesterday. And I put in parentheses here, like, what a dumbass. Like, generally,
really
his reads just continue, like, even after the game, just continue to be the
so
absolute worst, where he literally believes Peter's a traitor at this point. It's like, why did you vote that way if you thought that? But
like, Kevin's fun to watch. He's just so bad at the game.
He's
like
such an airhead.
He's
but
so ditzy.
he talks a bit about competing on the show, which he feels was a whole new experience because it's such a psychological game filled with paranoia and distrust among all. He personally thought he would be more under the radar as a faithful, which Kevin under the radar, that's absolutely hysterical to me. He's the farthest in from it. He doesn't think people see him as a threat all that much, thought he would be strategizing much, and it's true because he let other people do it for him, while he mostly carried the game mission out, executed, and spoke to other people to gain his trust. So he feels he was good with keeping the team together and building it. However, he does think that he should have read the table better, not be so committed and rigid in his decision-making, being more fluid, listen to what the arguments were at the round table, and make a decision based on that. And I very much agree with that second part. I think the thing that really hurt Kevin in this game was his refusal to believe anything that wasn't his own logic. Like when people are, if you remember very early on, when they wanted Dan out, what was Kevin's defense? Oh, he hasn't done anything. That's it. Like that was literally his defense. He hasn't done anything.
Literally,
so he
just kept annoying.
Be a traitor.
he kept annoying people, and he
Yeah.
was just so dumb.
And most of that was due to him just like believing things that didn't make any sense. Like he believed that Janelle was a traitor. He believed like, Tamra was like coming for him. Like it was just so bad for Kevin. His reads were just always the worst. He always needed other people to like give him information and like clue him in on what was going on. He was just really bad at this game. Really fun to watch. I always enjoyed him getting into fights.
Like he's not
with,
an unlikable person. He's not an unlikable person.
Oh, no,
he's just
no.
really
He
bad
seems like a nice guy. It's just like I love seeing him get into fights with like the most unexpected of people. That's not something I would have expected at all. He just seemed like a really nice guy. But I mean, he was always like somebody's, like there was just always someone that didn't trust him, whether it was Janelle, whether it was Tamra, whether it was Max at one point. I remember got into a fight with him,
and then he called MJ annoying.
Yeah, and then of course all the way to the end with Kate. Even Kate, he didn't feel good with, and is the main reason they murdered him was because Kate just wanted him out. So yeah, really just a bad game all around for Kevin. I don't think he played this game very well. Fuck my draft at this point. He was literally one of the only people left on my draft.
Wait, what's the draft right now?
I mean, we both have Phaedra, so there's that. And then, I mean, we'll do a draft update at the end. But yeah, Kevin just really did not play this game very well. I enjoyed watching him, but probably in the 2 seasons that we've covered of the Traitors, he is by far one of the worst strategists.
Oh, like, yeah, he was definitely, he kind of gives like, well, even though he wasn't a traitor, but he kind of gives like Christian level bad and like Quentin and Andy.
Oh yeah, he was very bad. He was very bad at the game. I mean, at least he recognized that it was a game, so he's not Quentin level bad.
Yeah,
but
true.
He definitely is like, I would definitely compare him to like.
Oh god, Quentin and Ari are so bitter still. It's so stupid.
Yeah, someone like maybe a Christian, maybe like an Angelica, like a Shelby, like one of those people who just like didn't know what the hell was going on.
Angelica was so sweet, but she just did not know how to play the game.
Yeah, I would compare him to one of them for sure. So yeah, just very fun to watch, but very, very bad at the game.
Definitely.
Not surprised he got taken out.
Very fun to watch though. Nice guy, but like, bad player.
Very bad player. All right. But with that said, why don't we Kate gives a little bit of thoughts on this upcoming round, on how the round table is going to play out. So Allie, go ahead.
All right. So Kate says going into this roundtable as a traitor, she was very nervous. She used to love roundtables, calling people out and arguing her points. But this is the first where she's going in on the defense with a new strategy to defend Phaedra and get Faithfuls out, and now is essentially playing a new game.
Basically.
She praises Phaedra for delivering such cunning lines, but also delivering it with such elegance and composure, but also said what they were all thinking about Peter.
Yes, she does.
She also thinks when you've been in the hot seat for one night, generally it's hard for people to forget about that.
Yeah, and this is where I think we really just got to bring out what do you think is going to happen here? Where do you think MJ is voting? Who do you think is leaving?
I mean, I do think she's probably going to vote out Peter just because she has been working with Phaedra longer and everything. Yeah. But I mean, also something she said too, like she is trying to win. So on another hand, I could see her voting out Phaedra, but like,
I think
don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a misleading edit. I think they want us to, this is my opinion. And I could be completely wrong. Like you could absolutely be right. I was the person who said Trishelle was going to go. You said Bergie was going to go and Bergie went. So we'll see what happens. I personally think they are misleading us with the edit. I think they want us to think that MJ's about to make this like crazy move and turn on Phaedra and she's going to win the game. But I just don't see it. Like MJ literally said in a confessional, Shereé, and Kate are going to decide whether Phaedra is a traitor. And if we think she is, then we will go with that. And Shereé and Kate voted Peter. So I think MJ's also going to vote Peter, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Because, what was I going to say? I mean, I will be very impressed if she votes Phaedra because it is a good move, but like, I also don't want her to go. But, I mean, like, good on her if she does, but you never know.
I mean, I fully I think if I fully credit someone like a CT for that if she is able to do it. But I also think like it would be impressive if MJ did do it. I just don't see her doing it this late in the game. Like she's she's almost always voted incorrectly in terms of like who's a traitor, aside from like knowing it was Dan. So
I mean, technically, she is the deciding vote because it's 4-4. So
yeah. I don't know what's gonna happen. We'll see.
So, yeah,
But right. But the one thing I will definitely say is that I think regardless of what happens, I don't think Phaedra's winning this game. I really just don't. I don't see it at this point. I think there's been too many accusations levied at her at this point that are just really hard to defend. Like, yes, but the thing why I won't completely counter out is because it's Phaedra, and we know how good she is at arguing. We know how good she is at defending herself. But as we saw with, certain players this season, that can only take you so far. And I do think that there is going to come a point where, especially the fact that CT is voting her now, I know. I really don't think it's for her.
She could have been convinced, but you never know.
I just think that like CT is probably the person besides Sandra that's in the best spot right now. He has a lot of power in the house. He's going to make sure like what gets done is like what he wants to get done. So I really just think the fact that he voted her, and also like arguments that were made against her, they're going to be very hard to ignore, especially once Peter reveals that he's a faithful. Really not going to be good for Phaedra. So yeah, I don't know if she has much left in the game. Like, yes, we only have a couple episodes left, but I just don't see it happening. I think if a traitor wins this game, it's going to be Kate, and it's only because they're not going to be able to figure it out. But because it's Kate, I think they might figure it out. So we'll see.
I still think right now the winner's either Sandra or CT, but we'll see.
Well, if it's a faithful, it's multiple winners, obviously, until it depends on.
It depends on if they say should we all split it or should we keep going to a vote?
Well, yeah, it depends on if they are still suspicious of each other. Knowing this cast, I could very well see that happening. I could see them thinking but I think absolutely Sandra and CT are at the end no matter what. I think
I feel like knowing Sandra, she'd be like, I'm suspicious. Let's just because she would probably, knowing Sandra, she'll probably want the win all to herself.
Oh yeah, I think I think the only person that she'd probably be okay with winning with her is like a Shereé or an MJ. I think she'd be fine with either of them. But we'll see. All right, let me go to, we did mention it before. Let me go to the draft real quick.
All right.
Let's just see who we have
left.
This
episode's actually not as long as some of the others. It's only just a little over an hour. Some have been an hour and a half.
I mean, it could be longer based on whatever we say next, but we'll see.
True.
All right. So, that's Canada. All right. So I still have almost nobody at this point. That's wonderful. All right. So I have Sandra, I have Shereé, and I have Phaedra. That's literally it. You have everybody else.
Oh my god. That's so funny.
If Phaedra leaves, it's all on Sandra. It's come on, Sandra and Shereé. That's what it comes down to. Because it's bad. It's not looking great. It's not looking great.
I mean, you might have a Sandra win.
I mean, I might, yeah. Because you have you have CT, you have Trishelle, you have Peter,
John.
You have John, and you have Phaedra.
Yeah.
And MJ.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not looking great. It's really not looking great. I think you're probably winning, but we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, if Phaedra wins, it'd be really funny if she actually gets there and wins, we both win.
So what? Wait, okay. What happens if Sandra wins, but also CT wins? Do we both win? Is that how that goes?
I guess, depending on who's at the end and they just split it, then yeah, I guess we both win.
Yeah. All right. So the last thing I do want to do here real quick before we plug stuff is tell me who you think, because most likely it's going to be 5 people at the end. Who do you think those 5 people at the end are going to be?
CT, Sandra, Shereé.
Yeah.
I can put John in there.
Maybe. I think he'll probably be fine.
And So who's left? It's maybe
MJ, Trishelle.
I could put an MJ in there.
Okay. For me, this is how I see the game playing out from this point. I think that the next person murdered is probably Trishelle. I think that's probably what happens.
That's what I think.
So, because they're not gonna banish John.
I think
I don't think they're gonna murder John.
Like, hypothetically, if like Phaedra leaves, then I can see it being probably Peter and Trishelle next.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, Peter will absolutely be next if Phaedra goes here.
Yeah.
So, but also I think vice versa. Peter goes. I think Phaedra's next. I don't think Phaedra can recover from this. But we'll
either
see.
one, like first and second. Yeah.
Yeah, and if Trishelle isn't murdered, it'll be John. And if John is murdered, then I think Trishelle gets banished, and I think that's probably what happens.
I could see that for sure.
Point. So I think if that's the case, then we have a final five of Kate, Sandra, MJ, probably the most likely final five, in my opinion, of Kate, Sandra, MJ, CT, and Shereé. I think that's probably the most likely outcome right now. I can be convinced of Phaedra potentially surviving. I can be convinced of that. Maybe they get sick of Trishelle. Maybe they just want to get her out of there. I could be convinced of that, but it's not looking great. It's really not looking great at this point. So we'll have to see.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah. All right. But other than that, I do think we have quite a few things to plug, actually, because this is a very busy week for our podcast. We have a lot of shows to talk about, a lot of things to get excited for. So Allie, go right ahead and talk about the first thing.
All right. So our first thing, honestly, why don't we do that next? Let's go to Survivor.
Okay.
And let's do Survivor, our cast assessment and draft, because it does premiere tomorrow. So we probably should get that done.
Yeah.
We were going to have our friends on, but they're just really busy. And also, happy birthday, Topher.
Yes, happy birthday, Topher. We were going to have Jen and Topher on, but unfortunately, it's Topher's birthday.
And I mean, it is his birthday. She's busy, so they probably have a lot of plans. So, I mean, we can always just get them on. Like, we'll probably still do a little draft with them, like just over text, and we can post it on socials. And we can always get them on, like during the season if they're free.
Right.
But yeah, so we have our cast assessment and draft to do. And then also we have to watch Deal or No Deal Island episode 1. So we have to do
spoilers. The person we expected to go is who went. So
I mean, hey, that's the person we have undrafted.
Yeah.
We're both safe.
Yeah. And then last thing to talk about, and this just really pisses me off. I don't have the artwork for it yet. BBCan 12, listen, we said it. We said if they were going to have feeds, we would cover the show weekly. If not, we're going to do a season. And, well, it's been revealed that this season we're getting digital dailies again.
They never said if we're not having feeds yet. So, I mean, digital dailies is fine if there's feeds. Like, but if there is no feeds, it's just going to be obviously a season review like BB24. But
I don't want to cover a show week to week where I don't know what's going on. So
so like in a season review, we'd probably just talk about like person from like elimination and such in that order.
Now, will we do a cast assessment? Probably. We still will probably do a cast assessment.
I'm sure.
I enjoy doing
those. We always love doing our cast assessments and drafts, so we will still do that.
Yeah, because I mean, we still have stuff that we can rely on. We have interviews. We have like the intros. Like we can do. It's just really hard to assess people in the game where you don't know what's going on and what are they not showing? Like that's the one thing that especially is like annoying. So
it's only going to be weekly if there's feeds, but if not, it'll just be a season review.
Yeah, most likely at this point, probably just weekly, or probably just a season review, but we'll see.
Yeah, and then obviously we will be covering our like season reviews of other things soon, like other Trader seasons.
Yes, we have seen the comments. We are eventually going to do the other Trader seasons. Yes. But I think the way we're going to do it is probably like one video talking about all the other Trader seasons, kind of comparing it to this and things like that. I think that probably the best way to go about it.
So one video.
Too overwhelmed by all the videos we need to do.
I think all the other Trader seasons we might just do like in one video, and that's just going to be more in like our off season when we don't have much to talk about. Right. Same with like the Circle, the recent season, the Mole, finishing buddy games.
Yeah, I forgot about that show.
And so many other like season reviews we have to get done. Those will probably just be all like off season stuff, like maybe in the summer, things like that. But yeah, so for right now, it's mostly just going to be, the rest of the Traitors US, Deal or No Deal and Survivor, and then BB Can if there's feeds.
And Deal or No Deal Island.
That's why I said that. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So other than that, though, very excited to see the way the season wraps up. Really just been a fantastic season all around. I can't wait to see how this all ends up going. I think it's going to be a very exciting end game regardless. But other than that, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And remember, couples who podcast together, stay together. We will see you guys in a little bit.